Hello everyone, and welcome to another video here on the Cycling Day Extra channel. And this is our usual post-ranking Tour de France. And here with me, I've got Ewan Wilson of the Cyclist magazine. Of course, there'll be a link down below as well, so do check out his articles. But I mean, Ewan, anyone who's new to tier lists, what are they?
So for this, we have every team of the Tour de France. You can see all their jerseys for the teams that took part. We're going to place them on a scale, a five-tiered scale. For the teams that were the best, they can shoot for the stars and aim for the legendary category. Below that, we have better than expected. Right in the middle, we have mid. Below that, room for improvement for teams that, underwhelmed us a little bit. And finally, were they even here? This is reserved for teams that left very little impact in this Tour de France. And believe me, we have a couple in this list that certainly are destined for that bracket.
Cofidis. But yeah, we might as well start. Bahrain Victorious, no stage wins. They had this legendary, well, not legendary, but Lenny Martinez really going for it. He had a very up and down Tour de France. Last on the first stage, but then fighting for that polka jersey, not quite getting it. They had Santiago Buitrago in here as well. 10th place last year in GC. But I mean, Ewan, where do you think they belong here?
Room for improvement.
Yeah.
Is that harsh? It's okay. So
how much do you value it? How much do you value the polka dot jersey run? It's kind of one of those where it doesn't really mean anything if you don't win it.
Well, that's the thing. He finished third in the end, and with all the talk of the sticky bottle, stroke sticky gels, that certainly knocked some moral points off of it. In terms of individual stage results as well, I mean, yes, we have Martinez up there, but he didn't really, hang about for the final top tens and stages. Matej Mohoric was good in Paris. I'll give him that. But the rest of the team, not quite there. Phil Bauhaus, okay in the sprints, but it's Phil Bauhaus. That's what we expect. The GC strategy just completely, came undone when Buitrago and Jack Hay crashed in the opening week, and we didn't really see them from that point onwards. Well, not Jack Hay, he abandoned. So I would say this is room for improvement. This is a team that have historically done very well at the Tour. They've left with either a top 10 in GC or a stage win, I think, every year since 2017, 2018. And, they usually come out with something, and they got neither this year. So I think we can happily put them in that below par bracket.
Okay, the next one's quite hard. Ineos Grenadiers, obviously, we know about their whole history with the Tour. Former winners, even done a 1-2 in the past. And in this year's edition, obviously, Arensman saving them in the final week with 2 stage wins. Rodriguez dropping out completely of the race, was sitting inside top 10. When you think of budget and everything, history,
yeah,
Geraint Thomas's last race.
Well, he didn't do much. He went in the breakaway a couple of times and then just complained in every post-race interview that he was fed up with the Tour, which, that shit got old very quickly. But I'm saying that I've complained about the Tour the whole way through. Nevertheless, if it weren't for Arensman, I think they'd be in the bottom two. Definitely not the bottom. And I think because they got 2 stages. They got 2 impressive stages through Arensman. He rode really well. For him, mid. Well, he was better than mid, but I think overall the team is mid.
Yeah.
I was really, really disappointed by Sam Watson, the newly crowned British champion. Did not do much. Got a top 10 on the opening day, then just evaporated out of the race. Axel Laurens was attacking at the wrong point on several stages. It was excruciating to watch. You would just kind of realize about halfway through the stage that he wasn't in the break, then attack across, but never really bridge. It was an odd strategy. And Tobias Foss, I really thought Tobias Foss would be in it to get some breakaway appearances and fight for a stage win. Nothing of the sort here. I was left quite disappointed. Maybe if Pippo Ganna were here, it would be a different story. He crashed out on day one, the first abandon of this race. But to be honest, mid. That jersey, though, definitely room for improvement. That jersey's awful.
Yeah, sure. Go for one lackluster team. Well, sort of lackluster to an actual lackluster team. Movistar, they haven't tasted success here since, I think, 2019. I was really excited for this squad because you had Aina Rubio, you had Ivan Romeo, and what are we left with?
I mean, don't forget, Pablo Castrillo was here.
True.
He
Yeah,
had
true,
two
true, true.
stages of last year's Vuelta look really good in the first couple months of the year. He was here. I don't think I saw him on camera once. Incredibly disappointing ride for him. I mean, Rubio and Mast, it's not in the GC5. Both had close calls in mountain stages. Ultimately, didn't win them at Mont Ventoux and the Col de la Loze. Mast looked good at Mont Ventoux, but it just played his cards too early, which is odd for a profile of that type where you kind of have to keep your powder dry until the end because everyone's only going to get faster. I mean, who else? Romeo was okay. He was all right, but I mean, the biggest thing I can think of for Romeo is the fact that he finally announced his relationship with Cat Ferguson during this Tour de France, and the fact that he's crashed out in the final stage. Well, in Pontarlier in stage 20. Yeah, I'm really quite disappointed. But can I just highlight Gregor Moorberger finished 18th in GC. That's a
As well.
really good result.
Didn't think that was happening.
No, but it did. And I mean, if you had him there to be their best ranked rider in GC before this race, you are lying. But yeah, definitely room for improvement. Because I mean, they were in breakaways. We did see them.
Right. Red Bull Bora-Hansgrohe, a very similar kit. New kit for the Tour de France. Obviously, Florian Lipovic with a third place white jersey. Roglic doing that absolutely backwards attack that meant that instead of being fifth in this year's Tour de France, he's now eighth. Mayu's crashing quite a lot. Didn't get a stage win. Red Bull, where do you see this?
This is so hard to judge, to be honest. I think, Lipovic was good. I mean, Lipovic finished third overall, won the white jersey. Of course, he was good. But he did a lot of it kind of on his own. The mountain support was really woeful for Red Bull, a team of almost 50 million euro budget. Sasha Vlasov was there a couple of times, but he was in the breakaway a lot. And then Mick van Dijk and Gianni Moscon, them alone, were they even here?
I have not seen Moscon in this entire Tour de France.
Exactly, and he was here this whole time. Danny van Poppel was all right. I was very bullish. I thought he was going to win a stage before this, which was maybe delusional. Mayer's just still okay after his crash. There's still a couple of decent results. Let's not forget. I would say this is probably better than expected. No, the thing is, I mean, yeah, let's put it there.
Yeah, what were you expecting from them? Because I mean, a lot of people weren't
expecting the white jersey.
Yeah, but Remco was in here somewhere, so.
Well, I mean,
he wasn't.
Readers of my pre-tour predictions on Cyclist.co.uk knew that I was Team Lipovic before this race, but so I mean, two riders in top 10.
Patrick was big on the train, the Leib train.
We have to be. He was good all year and finally delivered here. So the team got about 18 top 10s in this race, which is one of the highest amounts. They were there. They were certainly there. And this is their best GC result in their team's history in terms of the Tour de France. Buchmann finished fourth at 2019 Tour. Sasha Vlasov fifth in 2022. Roglic abandoned last year. I would say, I mean, it's their best tour to date GC wise. No stage wins though. They haven't won a stage since Jai Hindley won in La Reims back in 2023. The clock is ticking.
Do we take a moment of applause for Roglic finishing a tour for the first time since 2020?
That's true. Congrats, Roglic, Uncle Roglic. But better buckle up for those Vueltas. If he wins next year, he gets the outright record. Groupama. So
Gregoire. I was expecting a lot from Gregoire, but he also crashed on the stage 20 stage.
Yeah, but he had 20 days to perform.
Yeah.
He was good in the first week, to be fair, and the team were good. They led the team classification for a couple of days. Let's not forget, and they also did that absolutely bananas lead out, I think, on stage 2, onto one of the hills. But if that's all I can really pick apart from this race, it's probably not that best quality. Guillaume-Martin Guillonnet did not Guillaume-Martin his way into top 10. He was in top 20, but to be honest, he didn't seem like himself. He wasn't on great form beforehand anyway. Paul Penawet was great. I got to give it to Paul. Paul was great. Room for improvement.
Okay.
I mean,
I was ready to go for the bottom.
I don't know, because the thing is, I feel like they should be at the bottom. if you look through like the list of riders they had here, like there are quite a few where you're like, wow, I really forgot they were here. Um, but Paul Penaway got quite a few top tens. Clément Rousseau got a couple top tens. Gregoire finished in top 10 a couple times. Valentin Madouas, man, was he was he even here?
Yeah. One more top 10 finisher as well. Speak,
Astros.
speaking, yeah, exactly. Nairo Quintana. Oh, sad times. TotalEnergies, the actual TotalEnergies, not the Ineos one. Jordan Gigat, for me, has been very interesting. The way he poached that 10th place away from Ben O'Connor. They're quite high, low down in the rankings, though, for pro cycling stats. They're 20th out of 23.
However, this is the first time they've reached the top 10 in 10 years.
And they're pro Conti. So
they are, but then so Uno X, who finished higher than them. But I think this is one of their best tours in a bit, you know? I thought they were really like, I mean, in terms of it was kind of just Jagat, but they were up in the breakaway a lot, fulfilling that wildcard team role that has kind of been missing from the past couple of years. They went in the breakaway on flat stages when no one else was. They got a couple of combativity prizes. Jagat got top 10. I'm going to say this is better than expected because I didn't really expect that much coming into this race.
yeah,
Turgis was also up there in a couple of the stages, really animated the intermediate sprints. And if it wasn't for a crash, Emilien Genier, I think, would have been a perennial figure inside the top 10 in sprints. But he managed to, smash his teeth out in Dunkirk. Like, quite literally, he had to go to an emergency dentist after stage 3.
Well, sad times. EF Education-EasyPost, last year's polka dot jersey winners. This is one you're going to be very high on. Obviously, Ben Healy, stage win, stint in the yellow jersey, top 10, and Super Combativity Award. I was not expecting this from EF.
No, especially after losing Carapaz a week before the race. This team was made up of wild cards and joker acts in terms of being in the breakaway and messing up the order of the race, and they did that. Ben Healy, if you have a Tour de France tick list of things you want to do, he pretty much ticked them all off. Won a stage, got on the yellow jersey, finished 10th overall. For most riders, that's the ultimate dream. He did that in 3 weeks, and he got the Super Combative Prize, which is €20,000. That's a lot. That's the same as winning 2 stages. So I got to give it to them. It is better than expected, although I am disappointed by Nielsen Palace. He let me down. Also, Casper Asgreen, Scott, I'm sorry. He let me down as well.
He had some fun interviews after the stage. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, he also rode the Giro earlier this year, so I don't necessarily know if this was on his plan beforehand.
I was hoping Velkane was going to take a stage, but
I forgot he was here. But he was all right. He was okay at points.
Yeah, but I mean, where he's come from with the recovery, that was the big story.
Yeah.
But Lotto, anyway. Oh, this team. Oh, Honor Dilly, desperately wanting him to win a stage. Yeah, what do you think? Lena Van Eetveld not in the race.
Well, he crashed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just never came back from it. Would have been intriguing to see what he could have delivered.
Yeah.
But if it weren't for the lead, they would be bottom. They would be bottom bracket. The lead was better than what I expected, to be honest, because his form has been pretty rough this year.
True. Yeah, I just wanted him to get a stage win, but it wasn't meant to be.
I think
from one disappointment, I can't believe I put these two teams next to each other. Lotto and Intermarché.
Soon they will be one. Very similar races. If you remove Beam Grimai from this race, seriously, where have they been? A really disappointing race.
Other than Louis Bardet.
What was an incredible race last year? Well, Barret just kept...
Wait, say that again.
Well, I mean, Barret just kept ripping up his jersey at the back of the group. He was involved in so many crashes. Feel for him because he was in incredible form coming into this race. But okay, let's look down the list of riders. Vito Brat. I didn't really see him at all. He actually is the rider in the Tour de France with the fewest amount of Instagram followers. That's a fun fact for you. Hugo Page, who, I mean, I've been so hyped on Hugo Page, and he, paid me with the crumbs. Lawrence Rex was at intermediate sprints, but then just nowhere else. Jonas Wutsch, similarly, just not quite there. Roel van St. Maartensdijk. I feel like we just know he was there because of his long name. Gail Zimmerman crashed out. He could have been really good, but he had 10 stages to show some results before crashing out. So I Scott, I don't know. I really don't know with this team. It's one of the bottom two.
Yeah. I mean, Binny did get the second place on the opening stage. Or
But he's also the only rider from that team to get top tens.
yeah. Ooh, that's hard. So you might want to put them in bottom. I mean, going from where they were last year with those three stages on the green jersey, this is not a good one.
I mean, also from a really, really disappointing Giro as well.
So wait,
Like,
okay, I'll let you do it. Where do you want them?
I can think of at least two teams that will be in the bottom. So let's put them in room for improvement. Although that bracket's looking very busy right now.
Who do you want to relegate?
What comes to that at the end? We'll see. We'll see how busy it gets. Oh, but Jayco, speak of potential busyness in that bracket, Jayco AlUla, they got their stage win courtesy of Ben O'Connor.
Yeah.
But
And Henri de Grange prize.
to be honest, I keep forgetting Ben O'Connor won a stage of this race.
Aw.
I'm sorry. But that whole stage, I think, has just been wiped from my memory due to the absolute mental fatigue of having to sit through that Grand Lost stage. It was a really tough watch. Luke Plapp was really good in the time trials. Nowhere to be seen on the road stages. I thought there were a couple of days where he really could have shone in the breakaway. The penultimate stage to Pontarlier, for instance. The stage into Carcassonne. Not there. Schmidt came very close to winning. If he had won that, I think we'd definitely be moving them up, but they didn't. So I think perhaps room for improvement. But they're a team that always come into this race hoping for a stage, and they got that stage. Looking at their start list, were we really thinking they were going to get more than one stage?
I would say mid, no?
Yeah, we can put them in mid. Now I talk about it more, the more I rationalize it. Yeah, okay. I'm content with that. Although Dylan Bakers did not get a top 10 at all in the sprints. That does weigh on my mind.
Yeah, I think they're saved by that stage win. But next one, Alpecin-Deceuninck. Obviously, they're two superstars leaving the race and taking stage wins, both of them. And Caden Groves. I really enjoyed the Caden Groves win. I really enjoyed the Match of Van der Poel win as well.
Alpecin, for me, I think better than expected. Borderline legendary. Is that am I punching way too above? Because I mean that they have won lots of stages before.
Yeah.
Stages for them is like average, but they won with three different riders, which they haven't done since the Giro in 2022, which is a great race for them when Aldani, Van der Poel, and the Bont won. They got two riders in the other jersey. They spent a good amount of that first week in yellow, and Mathieu Van der Poel was entertaining. And if he hadn't have abandoned, could have been up there in the green jersey and probably would have won the final stage. Yeah, I think this is better than expected. They were solid all rounds. They had to change their strategy a lot, and it worked out in the end.
So are we both agreeing then that if they were going to go to Legendary, it would be another stage and probably the Super Combativity Award? Because I think Mathieu Van der Poel could have won that.
Yeah, I agree. I think he could have won that as well. But yeah, he's got that popular draw. Sorry, Ben Healy, but half of that vote is decided by the public. Yeah. Soudal, what are you thinking for this one?
I mean, four stage wins with three different riders. That's pretty impressive. The Mont 2 stage, I would have never, like a few years ago, if we said the Mont 2 stage winner is going to be from Quick-Step, we would be like, what? And two stage wins with Tim Merlier. Definitely their strongest sprinter, I think. And their superstar leaving, but still having a stage win. I quite like it. I would say, I don't know. It's a hard one. Better than expected.
It is a hard one. This one I think is quite hard to weigh up because they came in hoping for GC. They didn't get the GC, but they still got stages out of it. I mean, they won 4 stages. The only team to come close to that is UAE, and they won the race overall. I think we had to put them in better than expected. Tim Alia, did you think he was going to win more than 2 stages? Part of me thinks yes, but
Yeah, I was thinking three.
yeah, I was thinking more. But then he crashed on stage 17, couldn't contest the win there. Pascal Incorn was good in Pontalier on the penultimate stage. But let's just look down the list. Maxi Schachmann, where were you, Maxi? But as a team, Ilan van Wilder engineered that victory for Aurélien Paris-Panchin in the final couple of kilometers. Remco still got a stage. Yeah, I think this is better than expected. 4 wins of 4 wins.
Yeah, if they still had Remco maybe finishing up there in top five, then we could have said legendary. But hey ho. Tour de Pro Cycling in the first ever Tour de France. There was a lot of Julien Philippe on all the French TV programs. A lot of bark, no bite. That's what I felt with this team.
Yes. Yeah, I am actually in agreement with that. It's a good way of summing it up. I think that's also just because if you look at this team, it's filled with people who used to be on the World Tour and quite, recognizable names. In Alaphilippe, you've got Dainese, who's won multiple Grand Tour stages, Stora, who's won Grand Tour stages, and Trentin has won several Tour stages and almost won the Rainbow Jersey if it weren't for Mads Pedersen. I think I Stora was good. Stora was really good. I think he was a bit unlucky to miss out on a stage win. I don't really know what to expect with Tudor because I keep coming into races thinking, oh, they're gonna be really good, and it's just like this kind of average performance that we end up getting from them time and time again. Where Uno X at least get a couple wins and spice up the race. Tudor just been like, okay, they're just there. They didn't really go in the breakaway that much on sort of non-decisive transitional stages. Dainese was okay in the sprints. Marius Meyerhofer, I forgot he was here. Mark Hirschi, similarly, just completely, he just completely evaporated. Trentin and Stora, I think, were their best riders. Scott, I feel like we need to roll the dice to do rock paper scissors to find out where they should go. It's either mid or room for improvement.
Okay, we'll say mid because it's the first tour. Give them a chance.
Well, it might be their first tour, but every single rider in that start list has ridden on a World Tour team. And I think every single rider in that team has ridden a Tour de France. Maybe not Dainese, but, this is a team. It's not Total. This is a kind of quasi World Tour wannabe team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's one of the ones that goes down. Cofidis.
Oh, Scott, when I was talking about teams that were destined for the bottom, this is the one. And I think
I can guess the other one now. I can actually guess the other one you're going to put in.
Yeah. Only one top 10 from Brian Kokar, who, if it weren't for Brian Kokar, Alpecin might be a little bit higher.
And cost them a lot of money, actually, his own team, with the fine.
Yes, yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah. It's just, man, Cofidis has frustrated me so much during this race. It's just a kind of, it's just a lack of creativity. Benjamin Thomas, and the first couple of days, I thought, okay, great. We're on to the classic kind of breakaway team Cofidis kind of race. When he got into the polka dots, yes, he crashed into Matteo Vercher at the first King of the Mountains points. But, from that point onwards, they had all their team bikes stolen. Perhaps that ruined the team morale. They got them stolen again later in the race. But this team were just incredibly poor, just so poor. I don't think I can give them a single highlight of this race. It was, Dylan Turns, former stage winner this race, double stage winner this race, nowhere to be seen. Emil Buchmann, where did he finish in GC in the end? Because, I don't think it's particularly high up. Emil Buchmann, you finished in 30th. Jeez, this is a man who finished top 10 before. Jonas Aguirre, I don't think he even got a single top 20. I didn't see him in any breakaways. Alexis Renard's been on pretty good form this season, building up to this race. Nowhere to be seen in this Tour de France. Damien Touzé managed to crash, fighting for it at 12th place on stage 20. Yeah, this is woeful. Truly, truly woeful. For a team that's fighting for relegation, they should be embarrassed. Is that harsh?
No, I think it's fine. I think it's actually what I'm thinking. I think this might actually be the worst team in the Tour this year.
I think in several years. I think this is one of the worst tour performances I've seen in a long time.
They
Would
had one
say
of
that
those
they
high
actually
points.
did get the polka dot jersey for a little bit, but
They
sorry,
had that high point of 2023, and now it's just downhill from there.
that's true. I mean, is this better than last year's? Not quite sure. I can't really give you a memorable moment from last year either. I guess Kokam was all right in the green jersey classification, but he always is if he's not wiping people out.
Israel Premier Tech. This is a team that really, really disappointed me. Looking at their roster, I thought, oh, we might see something, but
Bottom tip.
UAT
I think.
Emirates.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, but from one sports washing team to another, um, IPT came into this race with two sprinters in terms of Ackerman and Stewart, and they got pretty slender returns from both of them. Jake Stewart almost threw away fighting for a stage victory on stage 20, which was incredibly frustrating to watch. Alexei Lutsenko is not the Alexei Lutsenko of, Monte Goal stage victory. He was in the breakaways, but would get dropped by a stone over the first speed bump. Chris Nylands, who's a guy who's, really animated races before, nowhere to be seen. Man, it was really quite abhorrent to watch this team. Joe Blackmore, though, at least he got top 10 on one of the stages. But apart from that, yeah, really, really, really quite awful. Despite having that fancy new prototype sprint bike, can't even get top 10 in, sprints.
I mean, UAT Emirates, Pogacar,
Oh, yeah, easy.
same weather.
Welland's won a stage.
Yeah, we don't really need to talk too much. We all know why. Astana, XDS Astana. I was gonna say, were they even here? And people are saying that they sent like their B squad here and they sent the A squad to the Giro because it's easier. But I also did think the riders did very well to fight for every single UCI point. You would see that. And I really like that. So I don't really want to put them where they even here. Room for improvement, maybe, or even mid to some extent. But I think they got 14th in GC. That's something, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's better than Groupama, Cofidis, IPT, Intermarché, Lotto. I could go on. But I've been really enjoying watching Astana this year. I think that they've really punched above their weight in terms of scoring points. And they lost a couple riders along the way, but they still got consistent top tens. Mike Turnison was flashes of brilliance there. Yevgeny Fedorov got a top 10 in one of the stages. Simona Velasco was right up there in the breakaway on the penultimate stage. If he hadn't have, been caught up in that crash. Davide Ballerini almost won on the Champs-Elysees, let's not forget. This I think was actually a really solid performance. I would put them in mid. 14th place in GC might not seem like much, but this is a team, in terms of pure strength, maybe not right up there, but did the best with the resources they had and still get a fair amount of UCI points out of this.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Picnic PostNL, a team that I wasn't actually expecting too much in terms of the climbs. I think they were saying the same thing as well. And here we are, 4th place in GC. They got a couple of, Tobias Vloen and Andreessen was also 3rd on one stage. So they were visible in the sprints, and Oscar Only, obviously, amazing. Better than expected. I don't think really it was a team performance, although there was that Col de la Loz stage where the team was very good to get him back in action.
Yeah. This team, I think, actually, once again, punched above their weight. Looking at their roster, you might have just thought it's a bunch of kids fighting for breakaways. And they weren't, Tobias Andreessen got a podium on one of the stages, as did Frank Vandenbroek, as did Oscar Onley. Pavel Bittner just missed out on a couple of podium places. He was pretty good in the sprints here. He won a Vuelta stage last year, but really stepped that up this year at the Tour de France among stiffer competition, you could say. I think, if coming into this race, if you'd have told me that Picnic were going to be one of the most consistent teams in reaching top 10, I would have been very surprised. They were really, really solid, I think, in the end. And 4th place in GC is much better than what they would have expected. Only came into this race thinking he was going to go for stages, and he finished in 4th, 1 minute off the podium. Great performance.
Vauclin, another team that probably was more stage focused, but Vauclin finishing inside top 10. I was quite impressed that he managed to hold on to that top 10 place.
Me too, to be honest. I was kind of expecting him to fall back in the general classification, but he didn't. And I mean, what I find interesting about Arkéa is that They actually rode a surprisingly good race overall as a team in the GC. If you look at the team classification, they're the highest ranked team that isn't, a super team with 50 million euro. They finished fourth in that, only behind Visma, UAE, and Red Bull. So this is a team that has like a quarter of their budget, maybe not even that, a quarter of their budget, and they're finishing fourth in the team classification with, yes, Vauclin in top 10, but also Christian Rodriguez was 20th in GC. Raul Garcia was 26th in GC. That's really good for a team that, on paper, we were probably expecting to be in that bottom bracket.
Yeah,
Because in the past couple of years in Grand Tours, they have not been very good. They've not been very impressive. But this Tour de France, they were. They also, in terms of these little cash prizes you get on the way, I mean, team classification is one of the important ones. They got a couple of team classifications on certain stages. They get a special podium ceremony for that and a couple €1,000. That's really important for a team like this. And it's hard for teams to get that prize if you don't have a, super team budget or you're working on a full out sprint train. So I was really impressed by Arkéa. I know I'm kind of clutching at straws here, but I'm going to say this is better than expected because Vauclin finishing in 7th is a surprise. I thought he was going to finish maybe 10th, 11th, 12th. Yeah, I think that this is really impressive. And Christian Rodriguez, 20th in GC. I know that might not seem like much, but he's a guy that some of you might not even known existed before this race.
Yeah, it's getting very hard now because we've never had this before. Better than expected is normally it's the two lower ones. That's the very packed columns, or packed rows. Lidl-Trek, John to Milan, winning the green jersey in his first ever Tour de France, 2-stage wins. But I mean, other than that was basically the sole purpose of this team. Quinn Simmons going a lot in the break, being very angry with motorbikes, apparently. Tim Wellens getting helped drafting that. That was quite funny.
You say that. He got engaged on the final stage.
Ah, right, there we go.
He the wedding ring on the Champs-Élysées, the engagement ring on the Champs-Élysées, after winning the Meilleur Équipier prize, the best teammate prize. Which, I mean, I got to vote in the first 2 rounds, but I didn't get to vote in the final round, so I don't really know what's happening there. But he won that prize. I think this was this is what Lidl would have wanted. Although one of their big objectives coming into this race was to win stage 1, and they missed out. They wanted to be in the yellow jersey on day 1, and they didn't get that. But they still won 2 stages in green. And Quinn Simmons was one of the most animated riders in the race. Matthias Skjelmose crashed out. Tom Scoynes really let me down. But
where do you put them?
See, this is hard to tell. This is almost exactly what I would have expected from Lidl-Trek, to be honest. So in that regard, it should be the middle bracket. But I don't want to put a team that won the green jersey in 2 stages in that middle bracket. So we'll put them in better than expected. Look at us filled with positivity today. But I think that's also a byproduct of the fact that lots of the teams in that better than expected bracket are teams that usually underperform.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Total, thinking about Picnic, thinking about Arkéa. These are teams that usually, when we've done these before, sit at the bottom of these rankings, but they really overperformed.
Ages Joie, your new friends?
Do you mean Decathlon CGM CGA or what? Oh yeah, that'll be put next year. Yeah, they didn't get a stage. That's a key objective for them, and they said before the race they wanted to win a stage. That was their main objective, but they got a top 5 in GC, and that's better than what they would have expected. I mean, speaking to the DS and speaking to Gal beforehand, top 5 was like the ultimate goal ceiling, but they were also very pragmatic in that. They thought, that would be the ultimate result, and they got that. Perhaps benefiting from other riders flailing, but you have to be in it to win it. And for me, I think it is better than expected. But if it weren't, I mean, Bruno Amorai, I think, was brilliant in this race. Bruno Amorai was fantastic. I mean, he's been attracting attention from Visma Lease Bike, but after this Tour de France, he could be attracting attention from more teams and asking for more money, to be honest. He was brilliant. But, I mean, the team also, there were a couple people we didn't really see a whole lot of. But overall, I think it's better than expected. 5th place in GC. Come on, Scott. Did he have Galp down for 5th?
I was not expecting that, to be honest. So, yeah, quite a lot of minutes, though, between him and Oscar only. Not that matters.
Still 5th. 5th's a 5th.
Yeah.
Uno X.
I've been very, very happy to see them. The funny thing with Uno X is Tor Husov was asked at the beginning of the tour, who's most likely to take your first stage win? bear in mind this team was 7 Norwegians and Magnus Cort Nielsen and a Dane, and he said a Dane. Okay, it was also Danish TV, so maybe that had just skewed it a bit. But no, I really like this team. Abrahamsen, very aggressive, not quite as aggressive as last year, I feel like. But Tobias Hardy Johannessen, you and me, we've talked about this guy for how long? I mean, Total Avenir winner, we always expect great things, and finally here we get something, at least the top 10 in the Tour de France.
Yeah, he was just really steady in that GC fight, never really losing much time. And just, being just absolutely stuck in that top 10. Abramson getting a stage win as well. This is a team that get invited, and they're not like, IPT or Lotto, where they end up in multiple Grand Tours in 1 year. This is their only Grand Tour stage, their only Grand Tour performance each year. And they over-delivered, to be honest. You mentioned Magnus Cort. He was underwhelming, but he came into this race ill, which was a bit of an odd decision to keep him in the team. Stian Friedheim was pretty decent in the sprints, been pretty good all year. Also, Søren Vanschel was also decent until he crashed and then had to pull out the race. I think, this is a really solid race for UNOX. And, top 10 in a stage win, that's what they've been struggling to get over the past couple of years. And the fact they get both in the same Tour de France is really impressive for a team that is definitely not on the same level as most of these in terms of their budget, in terms of their setup and, track records. They're not that far off UCI promotion, but, they're not staples of the Tour de France. They're still discovering this race.
Yeah, I completely agree. That is a very positive ranking from us too. I'm very surprised.
We could change things once we conclude this. But once again, it is those teams that we didn't expect much of, punching above their weight. UNOX, Decathlon, Picnic, Arkéa. Visma, though, we did expect a lot from Visma.
I think this one's hard, isn't it? Because they did a lot of work. They had a lot of weird tactics that didn't work out. But I also think if you don't have the strongest rider, you can do all these tactics and he'll just ride off you on the Hautacam and put 2 minutes into your leader.
That's the thing. But they had to try and do something different here because they're up against Tadej Pogačar. Maybe in the final couple of days, it felt like, they could have done more, especially given that Pogačar was quite isolated in the mountains. Pavel Sivakov off the boil, Marc Soler as well, not that great. Adam Yates, not as good as he's been in the past 2 Tours de France. But also Visma struggled a little bit in the final couple mountain stages. Sepp Kuss not looking that great. Simon Yates as well, sort of straggling, getting dropped earlier than we would have expected from a Giro champion. But ultimately, they won 2 stages, finished second overall, and won the team classification. This is, it's Visma. It's kind of what we would have expected from Visma. Vingegaard, though, no stage wins. No stage wins for Vingegaard. Matteo Jorgensen, still no stage wins. And there was all that talk with Visma as well about the whole team dynamic and Trina's interview and all that kind of trash talk between them and UAE. It was really getting quite fatiguing.
Yeah. The rivalry took another dimension in a way.
Yeah, but then the proof was in the pudding and they didn't win the race. And they didn't really change anything. They didn't gain time on Pogačar on a road stage at all in this race, apart from the bonus seconds he picked up at the top of La Plana.
Wanted to risk it all, wanted to risk his second place to try and win, and then attacks in the last 100 meters.
They also only got one rider in top 10 in GC. They were definitely hit. Come on. I guess by virtue they should be legendary. They ticked off all of their all of their realistic objectives.
Yeah.
However, I maybe would have expected to see Simon Yates and Matteo Jorgensen in top 10.
Ooh, even okay. Well, last year's winner won the Tour de France, so yeah, maybe we should have expected something more. I think they did well. I think there was just a stronger guy. The team was very similar to UAE as well. They kind of matched each other pretty well, like rider for rider.
Yeah, I think so as well. But ultimately, they also lost steam at the same time.
Yeah.
And that didn't really help. And that probably resulted in what were a really quite underwhelming final couple of mountain stages in the GC. At least for the podium.
Yeah, no, I agree. Ah, yeah,
Okay.
you're so right with the noise outside. That was very tedious as well. It was kind of like, ah, is this football? Like where you hear all the drama with the wags and all this.
But it's also all this talk about like, Matteo Jorgensen about him and Pogacar saying the attacks were annoying and it just kept becoming that this whole like saga and it was fatiguing for us. Imagine being the riders having to deal with that every day, but then, they're also adding a little bit of fuel to that fire as well when they give their sassy interviews. But is there anyone that you'd move about in this final classification? Is anyone gonna Guillaume Martin their way into a top echelon here?
Or down. He likes
Yeah.
down as well sometimes. Or Roglic it down.
Mm.
Hmm. Movistar. Well, were they even here? That seems cruel. I mean, I would move Groupama down, but I don't think you would let that. Lotto, I could really get swayed to moving them down, but I do remember Arnaud getting, I think, at least one podium.
Yeah, he was decent in a couple of the sprints, and also that stage to was one of the stages. I think it was a stage into Toulouse. He was okay. Um, and then was also, really quite bullish, to use his nickname, on that final stage in Montmartre, and it doesn't really result in anything. But outside of Dali, that team was just an abomination. I think we can close this chapter quite contently.
Yeah, there's not really anyone who sticks out. But I
Yeah.
mean, that aside, Ewan, um, thinking about winners, real winners, who are the real winners of this tour and who's the real losers from this tour, in your opinion?
Picnic PostNL are my standout team, to be honest. I think because they were consistently in that top 10. They got fourth place overall. And, it wasn't just Onley who got their results. It was also Frank Van den Broek in the breakaway, also Lund Andreasen and Bittner in the sprints. They were consistent throughout this race. And don't forget, they are also in the relegation battle. So they needed points. They desperately needed points, and they got those points. It looks like they're now going to survive off the back of a really healthy points haul here, especially when Intermarché, Cofidis all suffered pretty woeful Tours de France. So for me, Picnic Postel are the real winners here. That's my top team of this Tour de France, based on the team that they came into this race with. And for me, the losers have to be, is it Cofidis or is it IPT?
Yeah, that's if you're doing that whole picture that you just did, obviously Israel Primitek already up. So Cofidis, I guess, is the like real bad losers, but also because they tried to do the same as Astana and really invest and bulk up their squad. So you would have thought something would have happened.
Alex Aranburu. Where was he? I know, and it's he was great in like World Tour races early this year, and he was brought on to hoover up UCI points, but there's no evidence of that here at the Tour. Izagirre, I know he's like pushing he's gonna get his bus pass soon, but he is, yeah, I would have expected more from a man who's won several Tour de France stages in the past. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna say it. Cofidis is my loser because they could have had, a real stellar tour. Look at XDS Astana from the Giro. They came into that race with, not one of the best teams on paper, but they absolutely smashed it and got the points they needed.
Yeah, no, I think Cofidis is definitely bottom. I also feel like Movistar is a loser. You come in with, like you said, Pablo Castillo, a double Vuelta España not champion, stage winner in his first. I think that was his first one with a weaker team, obviously. Io Rubio, top 10 finisher in the past, stage winner in the Giro. Even Romeo, Enric Mas. It's like this team should be doing so much more.
Yeah, Iban Garcia Cortina.
Yeah, true.
Um, yeah, I can vouch for Movistar being towards the bottom end of this because I mean they're Movistar. They're a team who have consistently podiumed this race, been up there in the team classification, been in the top 10. And now they leave the Tour de France once again without a stage win and a top 10. This has been the story of their Tour de France since 2022. They haven't left this race at the top 10 or a stage win since then. And they haven't won a stage since Quintana won with the nosebleed of Valois before the pandemic.
Yeah, that quite puts it into perspective. I mean, others, I mean, a lot of the ones in the mid tier that we talked about doesn't really matter. Ineos is kind of no win, no lose. But Uno X, we talked about it. I think this team, really the development of that team last year, Alpecin in the jersey, and like they weren't really close to a victory, but here they actually like being up there with the big boys as well in the GC.
Yeah, they've built it up and built it up from, Johannesson being in the breakaways and trying to get a top 20 in GC in that first race to now really being in the frame here. And what's important is that the battle for wildcards is going to get tougher and tougher in the coming years because we've got teams that are going to come down. Cofidis probably going to be relegated. Arkéa, who knows what's going to happen there. That now makes getting an invite a lot more difficult because you've got these French teams that should probably have a home advantage, but you've also got burgeoning teams that are coming through. Q36.5 with Tom Pidcock and this other flotilla of riders that they may be signing with Penarella bikes on their underneath them. The Bas Titimus squad, they're looking better and better as the years go by. Maybe with Dylan Groenewegen next year, they're also another French registered team. It's going to get harder for these squads to get invites. And I think Uno X have proved their worth here, and they should get an invite next year. And if they don't, it is criminal because they won a stage and finished top 10 in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Is there anyone else? Soudal Quick-Step, Alpecin, I think they're fine. They're not really winning or losing. Well, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, Soudal didn't get the GC result they hoped for, but
yeah,
it was also that all or nothing strategy with Remco, but they still won 4 stages out of it. But I do think that people will forget about Soudal. When they look back in this race, they'll forget that they were here and actually won 4 stages. Ty Panther's going to be the one that they remember. And he only got that 1 stage, whereas like Merlier did win a couple of sprints and Remco smashed that TT. So it's hard to judge for these guys because, the riders abandoned that they were hoping to pick up big results. Jasper Phillips for Alpecin. But once again, Alpecin, 3 stage wins with 3 different riders, all in very different scenarios.
Would you put Lidl-Trek as a winner? Okay, many of us expected John Tamar to win the jersey, but there was still a Tim Merlier, there was still a Jasper Philipsen and Binyam Gumaya.
Lidl-Trek have had better Grand Tours. I think it's also hard to judge them because they've had a brilliant season so far. Their Giro was exceptional. They're a team that have really over-delivered, and perhaps we're getting sort of fatigue of that. Not fatigue, but we're getting used to them being right up there at the top. And the fact that this is just kind of like, they got what they wanted, but nothing more, nothing less, is just, quite middle of the road. And they had other riders that could have fought for stages. It wasn't just Jonathan Milan. We could have had Tom Scoyne up there in the breakaway. We could have had Jasper Stuyven fighting for breakaways as well. And Quinn Simmons ending up with that stage win. Didn't happen in the end, and also Skellerman was there as well. He crashed out and could have won a couple mountain stages. But yeah, Lidl, I think, they can be satisfied with this. They got the green jersey. They keep up the momentum there. And they're a team that will probably carry on winning green jerseys in the years to come. This is Milan's first ever Tour de France. He's looking like one of the best sprinters in the world right now. One of the most versatile and effective sprinters with one of the best trains out there. So it probably, will be surpassed next year with a Philly Flitz, Gelmoser, or Ciccone to bolster up their mountain support, to have a double-pronged approach in the mountains and in the sprints.
Intermarché, I think, definitely are going to be a loser team, unfortunately, here.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Because, Intermarché, I think it's almost as if they've been served a sucker punch since Girmai's lofty heights, and they're not going to replicate that. They were a team in 2021, 2022 that over-delivered, and perhaps we got used to them over-delivering and getting top 10s and being right up there in stages and being in breakaways, and this year just nowhere to be seen. But they didn't have a climber once Barret crashed out. They didn't really have anyone to back up in those mountain breakaways. It was all or nothing for Girmay, who ultimately just didn't get the results he may have hoped after crashing out, well, after facing several crashes and bumps along the way. maybe that's just a byproduct of the fact that he won the green jersey last year, and their strategy was to replicate that this year. In the years to come, they can put all their eggs in the Bidim Gourmet basket, but is Bidim Gourmet going to be a lot of Intermarché next year? We also don't know.
Yeah, I think his leader was particularly weak, if I'm honest. There was plenty of times where he was getting lost and there was nobody around him. And I was like,
Yeah.
what?
What? No Mike Turner, no Herder Tyson. These guys, these like important engines. I know Turner doesn't ride for them anymore, but these are guys that were really influential last year who just weren't there in 2025. They might need to sign up some more sprinters to help out and lead out men to help out.
Yeah, but we don't know. He's probably going to be in Astana.
Well, that's the thing. Or he's going to be battling it out with Anadolu next year.
But anyways, on that high note, that's basically it for this team ranking. And thanks to Ewan for dropping in again. Of course, cyclist.co.uk magazine that he writes for now. And check out his byline that will be in the description down below. So,
yeah, and well, I will also be doing a written form. I'll be grading each team on Monday, the 28th of July. So stay tuned for that.
So day as this will be out.
Well, I didn't know which day this is going out. So.
Anyways, thank you very much for watching, listening, and of course, as always, I will see you around. Patrick will be back soon, but Ewan will definitely drop in again.